Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV. This is a special edition. If you're listening and just heard that commercial, we have a very, very special guest who will be joining us today. None other than the legendary Kenny Gamble. We're expecting him at any moment, so stay tuned. We've got some special treats ahead for you today. We're going to talk about the message in the music. We're going to talk about Gamble and Huff. We're going to talk about Philadelphia International Records. We're going to talk about some things that I had never heard about. A group that Mr. Gamble was in prior to Gamble and Huff being formed, I believe. And we're going to hear some great, great music. And as always, we didn't get to this last week, so we have to talk about Universally Speaking, the column, the article that's in the Milwaukee Courier. We talked about we talked about media and black people, but it's in black media, Milwaukee Courier. So we got a lot to discuss this week. One of our special guests that joins us from time to time, Damien, is here. He's probably going to spit for us later. He'll get to spit for Mr. Gamble. And as always, our host, Rahim Islam, is in the studio today. Rahim?
Yeah, good afternoon, Milwaukee. Peace to everyone. Thanks, Ptosha.
My pleasure.
It sounds like a lot. We're gonna do it. Hopefully, we're gonna cover a lot.
We got 8 hours today. No, just kidding.
Right. Oh yeah, don't say 8 hours. But as usual, what we try to do is we try to do our digital libations. We start all of our programs honoring our ancestors and those who came before us. As the great Marcus Garvey said, that if you don't know your history, if you don't know the shoulders that you're standing on, it's like a tree without roots. And we know what happens to a tree without roots. A tree without roots is basically a tree that will not last will not be able to produce the kind of shade and benefit that it could produce because it's not grounded. And the first good storm, and it's gone. So you see trees that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years because they have very, very, very strong roots. So as part of our program, the Universally Speaking, we want to always acknowledge our ancestors and call on their spirit to be a part of this program, but also to be a part of our understanding of their sacrifices, and that we can build on their sacrifices. And that we're asking that our ancestors, that spirit of resistance, of determination, of empowerment, that spirit of excellence, that spirit of taking no prisoners. I mean, that spirit of just being the best. We would like to see that spirit enter us now, and also God willing, enter the future generations of the African American people here in America. So with that, that's our digital libations. We call on that our ancestors. We recognize and we respect our ancestors, and we also respect and recognize our elders, for they are also the connection to our ancestors, and hopefully that we can also extract from them the wisdom and knowledge and guidance that they can give us and give us as we move forward, and that we can pass this thing down to the next generation, because this struggle that we're in is going to take generations and generations to correct. So that's our libations.
Ashe. Speaking of which, I believe one of such elders has joined us on the phone. I am so very excited. Keep going.
Sure, but I want to hear some music.
Music. Okay, so
let's hear some music.
Okay.
But before you do that, established in 1963, these songwriters, Gamble and Huff, songwriters and producers, let me just give you a little bit of taste here, have earned 175 gold and platinum records, creating what we know today as the sound of Philadelphia. I mean, these are the real hit makers. I mean, you have people talk about making hits, but these two,
you have perceived hit makers,
and
you
then
have
real hit makers. I mean, hits that become the backdrop, the soundtrack of many lives, of not only in America but for the entire world. So let's hear a little compilation. You've been you've been working on this for 2 weeks now. Come on, brother. Boy, you know what? I'm sitting here. We're jamming over here. Number one, we're jamming. The music is sounding great, but you know what? I wanted to stop right there because what a heck of a line. How long are we going to stand in line? We got to do for ourselves.
Wow. That's what we've been talking about.
Right. I mean, we got to do for ourselves. So let's. So is our
guest?
esteemed, the legendary, the one and only Kenny Gamble. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I got disconnected.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Okay, good. So they were just playing a little. I mean, it's impossible to play.
We don't have enough time.
We don't even have, I mean, we would need a couple weeks to play the hits that people know about, and I don't really know if they really know the breadth of the sound of Philadelphia and the writings of songwriters of Gamble and Huff. So how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Doing good. Hey, glad to hear you on the air. Who's the young lady there? I know that voice.
That's Ptosha.
Hey, Ptosha, what's up? Yeah. Hey, I haven't seen you since I was there.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I thought that was you. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear your voice out there. How's the weather in Milwaukee, by the way?
Cold.
Is it cold there too? It's cold here in Philly.
It's cold.
And snowing. It's not snowing in Milwaukee.
No.
It's just cold.
I think Rahim has been bringing the weather back and forth
between
Philly and Milwaukee.
Well, that's good.
Well, we got a couple questions for you, and to kind of get this interview started, we want to learn a little bit more about your music, and there was a line just now. I guess that was the OJs, right? And put our hands together. And there was a line in that piece that said, we got to stop standing in line. Now it's time for us to do for ourselves.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Well, put our hands together. Boy, that was a good one. That was almost like a gospel song with the OJs, you know. The song was how we can work together to accomplish something, you know. And it really put our hands together and let us pray. That's what the lyrics was saying. And then the first verse, we got to pray for all the brothers under the iron hand. So, and that line, I remember that line in particular because there's so many people around the world, even in America, that's under this iron hand. They can't move. They can't get from A to B, you know. And because it's just so much going on, and without having your own, I guess to answer your question, Rahim, you gotta have your own stuff. You gotta have your own stuff. You gotta be able to the number one thing you gotta be able to feed yourself as a person, as an individual, then as a community of people. You got to be able to feed yourself. So there's so much that needs to be done, that will be done, you know, in the future, because I think we're on the right track now. Like doing for self. That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He came up with that, which I thought was probably the smartest thing that anybody could give to somebody is that suggestion of say, listen, don't depend on anybody else to do anything for you. Do it yourself. And the number one thing you got to do is you got to educate yourself about the process of life. So So I think that's what it meant, Raheem. Just do for self and putting those thoughts. You there?
Yeah, we here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause
We
my
just
phone
listening.
was beeping. Yeah, my phone was beeping.
Because I never
Yeah.
thought of putting your hands together as praying.
But that's what the lyrics say.
Yeah.
Put our hands
Amazing.
together and let us pray. We got to pray for all the brothers under the iron hand. Pray. Can't think of the second line for some reason. Let us pray that tomorrow will be a better day to come. We got to put our voices together, sing a song so loud and clear. Let the birds in the trees hum along with me in sweet harmony. That's like euphoric, like like birds singing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then that's like the first verse. Now the second verse, I can't remember all of these lyrics, but that's kind of like what it was painting a picture of, like a joyful day where all the nature and everything would be in sweet harmony, trying to correct some of the things that have taken place to destroy our world, with the people that's in harmony with one another, and prayerfully that you be able to correct some of them,
Well, I jumped ahead because that song that Keon put together, it just jumped out at me, and that line just really jumped out at me. But I really jumped ahead of the this discussion, and we're talking to the legendary Kenny Gamble, the founder and co-founder of Affiliated National Records, and one of the most prolific writers, the writing team of Gamble and Huff. And we're going to talk about. We talked about this line, do for self, and that message is constantly in all your music.
Yeah.
A serious message to people, but we were able to groove at the same time. But I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about your childhood. Where did you grow up, and how did you grow up, and give us, how was that foundation, I think, fundamental to your music?
Well, I grew up like in South Philadelphia, much like just like in Milwaukee, you have a African American community. That's where I grew up at, and grew up in a single parent home. My mother and my two brothers. I had two brothers, Charles and Carl. My brother Carl is now deceased. God bless him. And we had a very spiritual home. My home was a very spiritual home, where most of our conversations in my family was about the Bible, or the world and the world condition. Because I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And so my home was a spiritual home where we studied all the time. We studied the Bible, the different prophets, Daniel, Daniel the prophet, Daniel in the lion's den, and all of the stuff that's in the Bible. We studied that stuff, and we went to theocratic ministry school. I went from door to door. You see how cold it is up there in Milwaukee? As cold as it is. I was going from door to door, talking to people. And I enjoyed it, and still do enjoy it. I think that was the strong foundation for me, because it gave me a different outlook on life. And it gave me an appreciation for the Creator that I would not have had if otherwise. But I had then, and I still have now, a tremendous respect and connection to the Creator of the universe. So that was pretty much the strength of me growing up. And but musically, how I got hooked on music. I always loved music, even when I was little. Real little. I love music, and
that was a song. I love
I love music. Yeah. OG, yeah. I love music. Yeah. Hey, well, we done wrote a song just about everything. But
Well, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
no, but I used to love music, and
What did you like about music? What did you love about it? I mean, what part?
I don't know. I just love the way music make you feel, because was two things that I would that stick out in my mind. One was the House of Prayer. I don't know if you got a House of Prayer in Milwaukee or not. You probably do. The Daddy Grace Church. It's probably a Daddy Grace Church there somewhere in Milwaukee. But they used to have baptisms in the summer, and they used to baptize people in front of my house in South Philly. And I used to hear that band. That band was unbelievable, and I still go there even now. Every year I go there to hear the band play. 'Cause I know that when they're coming because it's around my birthday in August, so I always know that when they're going to be there. So there's a different bishop now. They've had 4 different bishops so far, but the music and the mood and the joy that's in that church is still there. And then I would say the second thing that motivated me with music would be the radio, WDAS, with Georgie Woods and Jocko and Hot Rod and all of those wonderful disc jockeys. They used to play music every day, and I used to listen to that music on the radio with Lil Anthony and Imperials and Frankie Lyman and the Moon Glows and the Flamingos, and then Motown came. I loved the Temptations. That was my favorite group, and that was stuff that I loved. I loved that music, and probably I'll just add one more thing. When we got a television, because at first me and my mother and my brothers, we didn't have a television. We had to go to somebody else's house to look at TV, and finally we got a TV. And it was a little, I think, 10-inch TV or something like that, 10 or 12-inch TV. And
They got phones that size now.
yeah, they do. And but listen, we was glad to get that little television back. And I remember it was an Admiral, and I remember my mother said, "Oh, that's the best TV you could get is an Admiral." And we had the rabbit ears. The rabbit ears was like the antenna.
Like
it was
cable.
only only like 3 channels: CBS, NBC, and ABC. That's all it was. And then a little later on came the UHF channels, which was here in Philly, channel 17, 29, and 48. But bottom line of it, once we got that TV, I was able to see movies. And my favorite movie was the Glenn Miller story with that band. And when I used to see that movie, it used to come on a lot, the Glenn Miller story. I used to tell my mother when I was small, I said, I'm going to have a band like Glenn Miller. Never knowing that it would really happen. But I really love that band. And that's a great story about Glenn Miller and his orchestra. And it shows you just how much influence, when you look at it today, it shows you just how much influence that African American people had on Glenn Miller and all these people, because they really copied a lot of their music from African American people.
So you talked about, I mean, your family and the strong spiritual background. You talked about the impact of radio, the House of Prayer, and the music there, and you definitely had a love for music. You definitely, and obviously you were feeding that, or it was being fed, whether you were feeding or not, it was being fed. When did you come to a point in your early part of your life that you said, I now this is what I want to do. This is where I'm gonna put my focus on. And what time of that period was that?
Oh boy! Well, I think I was all through high school. all through high school. That's all I used to do was just groups. It was so many groups that I was. My brothers and my cousin, we had a group. We used to sing, and I used to write songs for us.
So you were writing then?
I was writing then. Yeah, this is like when I was like 15, 16. Yeah, maybe even earlier. Yeah, and I was writing songs for our group. Then I was in another group. I was in about 3 different groups. You know, I was in about 3 different groups, and so I used to write songs for these particular groups. And I used to say, I said, you know, I had a desire then. I said, boy, I wish I could be like Frankie Lyman or the Flamingos or the Moonglows. I would love to go to one of those Georgie Woods rock and roll shows. They used to have rock and roll shows at the Uptown Theater. So, yeah, I had a strong desire for it.
But you, I don't want to jump over the fact that here it is. You was in these three, because everybody. I mean, I remember growing up and I was singing. You know, be a part of the group. We called ourselves the Temptations and things. And everybody wanted to sing, but. What made you go put a piece of paper together and start writing songs? That's a little bit more intense, and so I want to. Why did that happen? And if you can remember, what was the genesis of that process taking place?
Well, you know, I really don't have an answer for why did I do that, but it just happened naturally.
Gotcha.
You know, just happened naturally, and that's a good question because nobody else was doing it. You know what I mean? My brothers wasn't doing it, and we had another guy with us. His name was Jack Hart. He was in our group too, and I was the only one that was writing songs. I would write the words out so I could give it to them.
That's amazing, though. I mean,
it is. It really is because it. I mean, nobody told me how to do it or anything of that nature, you know, but I had, this is, you know, I'm like, I guess between trying to get the scope of time it was. It got to be, I had to be at least between 13 and 15 because I was going to, trying to go to high school because that's where I used to do most of my singing at lunchtime at high school. And we had a great group. You had guys from all over West Philly High School, West Philly area, and we used to sing at lunchtime. And we used to draw all kinds of crowds. We would sing all the latest hits. And it was great. It was a beautiful thing to be able to harmonize with these brothers.
Well, let me ask this: you're singing for, you got a couple groups. You in high school, you're singing for a couple groups, and I kind of we can kind of remember that was kind of the thing. All these different groups singing and music was big back then, and you were writing songs. Does any one of those songs kind of jump out at you, or do you remember? I know it's so many songs you've written. So just
I know my first song that I wrote.
Yeah, what was that?
The name of it is called A Tender Kiss. Never recorded it with nobody.
No?
I mean, never recorded it with nobody, but I'm going to tell you something. I remember that song, A Tender Kiss, you know. And then I had another one called The Ring on Your Finger. Those are two. I never recorded them with nobody.
Oh, both of them you never recorded with anyone?
Never recorded them.
Well, we got to get them out. Both of them, we got to get them out. We got
Put them on vinyl.
We got to get one of these young, one of the young artists now to do it. But both of them sound like winners to me. They sound like slam dunks.
The Ring on Your Finger, The Ring on Your Finger.
And the Tender Kiss. Everybody's looking for a tender kiss.
Yeah,
come on.
It sounded like you was a romantic, Mr. Gamble. It sounded like you.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. Yeah. Hey, listen. Because when
he
you
was
singing in the groups. When you singing in the groups, you get all the girls.
Yeah.
That's why you do it.
I didn't say that was my motivation, but you were doing something more though. You were writing songs. That's a little bit different, and I think that while you kind of can't really describe it. It had become the foundation for you, for one of the greatest things you've been able to deliver to the world. Is these concepts and these ideas, these messages, and lyrics that we can all enjoy on a daily basis. And so, one of the things you talked about 3 groups. What was your most successful group that you were in? That you were a singer?
Well, the Romeos. That was later on.
Oh,
Kenny Gamble and the Romeos, and that's what the other groups that I was talking about. We just sang for free, and we were just singing at school, or on the corners or something like that. But the Romeos was a band. We had a band, and and we worked on the weekends, and we did make a little money, which was very helpful. But that showed us that you can actually make a living off of it. And we became very popular because the places that we worked one club, like Loretta's Hi-Hat, for almost 5 years. Just about every weekend. Not every weekend, but just about every weekend. We worked that club.
What age, what period of time was that? Idea?
I had to be like my early 20s.
Okay. So were those songs you were singing? Were those standards you were singing, or were there songs you wrote? These was standards. These were songs that people knew. You know what I mean? Like My Girl and mostly a lot of Motown hits. But we rearranged them. We rearranged a lot of those songs. The band had Tom Bell in it, who is a great writer and producer. He had, Tom Bell, just so people know who he was, he's a guy that wrote all of the Delphonics songs. La La Means I Love You, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time, along with William Hart. And he also wrote all the stylistic stuff, Betcha by Golly Wow, You Make Me Feel Brand New. He wrote Denise Williams, Silly Fool, Denise Williams, and... Man, there's so much, and the Spinners. God, I could forget the Spinners. Yeah. Mighty Love and Sadie and all them songs. So Tommy Bell, he was, and the Stylistics too, right?
Yeah, the Stylistics. Yeah, I mentioned them.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
And so
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
No, but the thing of it is this is the kind of talent that was in this group, the Romeos.
Well,
you had Tom Bell, you had Leon Huff. You understand? And me and Huff was able. That's when we were able to really get to know each other and start working together.
Unbelievable talent.
This unbelievable talent is in this group. And then you have Roland Chambers, who was an absolute genius. He was a guitar player. And his brother, Carl Chambers, was a drummer. And you had a guy named Winnie Wolford, who was the bass player. And he did good, So we were young. We were a young group, and then sometimes we would even travel with horns. We'd have a big band, which was even better. Well, we'd have maybe like 6 or 7 horns, so it would be like a 10, 12-piece orchestra, like what you call them, like Glenn Miller's Story.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, you had the makings of the foundations for songwriting, arranging. The group, the whole group, music, singing music, but going back to that Glenn Miller Story, that was kind of the foundation that stayed in your mind. That
stayed in my mind. That's
actually
true.
Was percolating.
Oh, it became a reality because the band became MFSB, which was an orchestra. It was fantastic orchestra.
And so let's do this quickly. We got a little something. Keon, let's hear this here and.
Uh-oh.
When I hold you in my arms, kiss your lips so tender and warm. Don't you like it, baby?
You sound a little bit like Marvin.
Don't it make
Yeah.
Ain't my loving good to you, baby? Now ain't it, baby? Ain't it, baby? Ain't it, baby? Ain't it, baby? Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. When I hold you in the midnight hour,
Boy, I'm jamming on that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That sounds better than it did a long time ago. Yeah.
that sounds good, man. And you know what? I can see you taking the long version on that and getting really good on it. That sounds real good, man. How did that do commercially?
That didn't do too good. But you know what? See, we went to Detroit. It was the guy who really. See, a lot of people spotted talent in me. Like, the guy who was responsible for that record, it was Jimmy Bishop. He was a disc jockey in Philadelphia.
Big disc jockey.
Yeah, he was a giant disc jockey. That was my main man. Me and him was real good friends, and he thought I could make it. He put me on the show at the Uptown. But the thing of it is, I never did really like singing. And I think.
Well, you had greater things coming down the pike, so that was...
Well, because, see, when I used to be on stage with the Romeos, for example, I really didn't like performing, you see. So I would be kind of like, when I look back on it, sometimes I would go out there and we'd do a good show, and then sometimes I'd go out there and do maybe one song, and then I'd come back later, you know what I mean, because... Maybe it wouldn't be enough people in the audience or something like that. And I'd say, well, but then when I come back, the place is full. You see, so then you can get a better show, you know. So I never really was a performer, because if people were waiting for you to do something, they're waiting for me to do a split or something. I don't know what they want me to do. They're looking at me and I'm looking at them. I used to laugh at it myself. I said, man, it's too much.
Well, I seen some of those pictures, and man, the brother was clean.
He's always sharp. Every picture I seen.
The Romeos.
Yeah, the brother was. I seen a couple of pictures. I mean, the just phenomenal. So you definitely looked the part, and you sounded. I mean, in fact, you sound a little bit like Marvin. Talk about your influence in music, especially during that period. You talked about. Some of the acts that kind of influenced you, some of the singing acts. But from a musical perspective, and you said you did some of the standards in Motown, so I know Motown had a big influence. Talk about that relationship with Motown.
Oh, yeah. Well, Motown, man.
And why was Motown so important?
I can't hear you too good. What did you say?
I said, why was Motown so important?
Well, I think Motown was important because it was probably the first African-American company that really changed the trend of music and the sound of music, you know? And everybody wanted to make records like Motown. Everybody. I mean, all the companies, whether it be CBS, whether it be, I don't care where it was, all the studios wanted to get the Motown drum sound. I mean, Motown was a phenomenon, you see. And the funny part about it is that when you go there, you go and you see that little teeny studio that they had, was like a garage almost. And that's why they had that sound. But the real reason they had that sound is because of the love that they had for one another. You know, you had Smokey Robinson, you had Stevie Wonder, you had the Temptations, you had the Four Tops, you had Martha and the Vandellas, the Supremes, Dinah Ross. I mean, you can keep going on and on and on. Man, that's just unbelievable talent and unbelievable energy, you see. And so Motown's presence in the industry showed a young guy like myself and Leon Huff and Tom Bell and all the rest of us that it could be done, because there was a lot of hurdles to try to keep you out of the business, you know? And so it was hard to get information. And Motown was a living example that it actually could happen, that you could make records, you could get them played on the radio. You still there, Rahim?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're here. We're here.
We listening.
We holding on.
yeah, because my phone was beeping. But anyway, the thing of it is that Motown was a living example that it actually could happen, that you could do it. You know, and Barry Gordy became like a symbol And what they were doing is writing songs. They were writing great songs. And that's what we tried to do. The reason why our music is still around is because of the songs. It's the songs that we put our heart and soul into those songs. And that's what happened with Motown. Motown shook up the world, man. Like Muhammad Ali said, he shook up the world. Motown shook up the whole world. And it's still doing it. Motown is still shaking up the world, So that was the blueprint. That was the inspiration for Gamble and Huff and Tom Bell and all the rest of us guys. And it went even from our generation to another generation. When you had Babyface and L.A. Reid, when they had Tony Braxton and all of those wonderful groups down in Atlanta, when they had Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis in Minnesota with Prince, all of these people had that Motown structure the same way that we did, where you have a bunch of writers competing against each other, and you have some great artists. But the major thing is to have great songwriters, because if you get great songs, you got a better chance of making it with a great song. So,
Mr. Gamble.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead.
So there was another record company after Motown, but before Babyface and all of them. And I want to talk about that. We're going to take a short break. But there was a company called Philadelphia International Records. I heard something about that company.
That's us.
Okay, yeah. So, you didn't mention them when you were mentioning
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's my mistake.
I want to take a short break, and then I want to come back, and I want you to talk to us about how that company came about and what you had to do with that, okay?
All
right. Okay, we're going to take a break. Thank you. We're listening to the legendary Kenny Gamble on Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Universally Speaking with Kenny Gamble. I'm sorry, Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV. We are in here jamming today. Mr. Gamble?
Hey, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You hear that music?
Yeah, I hear that music.
Wow.
And you know what sounded good? Was the Dells. Wow, did that sound great.
So our host is over here. I have never seen him smile so much during any of our shows. I got to get him back.
I'm so gangster. I don't smile. You know that. They say that about you, Kenny. Well, he's so mean. He's so tough.
Yeah.
He's so tough.
Well, I'm happy, man. I'm happy all the time.
Yeah,
well, you know what? Beautiful.
One of the things I wanted to take a minute. We talked about a little bit about your history, coming, and obviously a big influence was your mother, and she was a huge influence. I know that because I know you, and I've been around you long enough to hear the reverence you have for your mother, and but early on in your career, I mean, the question was, you're out of the Kenny Gamble on the Romeo stage, or you're still trying to make it. You're writing songs, and then you started writing for, I guess there's the Intruders early on. Or were there other groups kind of, I don't know if the Intruders was a national group or just a local group, but what are the local groups that you started writing for that maybe became, successful?
Well, the Intruders, I started working with the Intruders, wow, gotta be around 63, somewhere around there. But the funny part about the Intruders is they were a local group, and they had a couple of hits. I was in high school, maybe in my last year in high school, the Intruders had a song out called Come Home Soon. These guys everybody loved these guys. And I went to see them perform down Girard Avenue. I went down there by myself because it was kind of like a bad neighborhood. But I went down there by myself, and I went to see them perform. And, man, the place was packed. And you know what I said? I said one day, I'm going to work with them guys, man. And it turned out that me and Huff was working with the Intruders. Is that unbelievable that we would work it? We finally start working with them, And and by working with the Intruders, it was like a gift because I love their voices so much that it was just so much fun. At that particular time, we were just really hustling, all of us. Intruders was hustling. Me and Alf was trying to make it, and see, during that time, you're talking about. See, we had jobs. We had jobs. We were working in jobs and writing songs at night and
So
on the weekends.
music was your night gig.
Night gig on the weekends. You know, we had our band, so we was doing a number of things, music related. But we also had jobs. I was working at Jefferson Medical College. I had going to school for medical technology, and so I was working there. Huff was working in Camden. That's where he's from. Is Camden, New Jersey. So our goal at that particular time was pretty much how can we make a living out of writing songs since we loved it so much, but it wasn't paying us nothing. We weren't getting no money. You know what I mean? It wasn't paying no money, so you can't love it but so much until it can pay them bills. So working with the Intruders, and we had a good partner. We found a good partner. His name was Benny Crass. He owned a clothing store in Philly on South Street. And Benny loved the music business. He was in the clothing business, but he loved music. He wanted to sing himself. That's how we got hooked up with him, because he wanted us to help make a
wanted to
record
sing
on him. You know what I mean? And so we used to make records on him.
Did any of them get out?
Yeah, a couple of them came out. Yeah, they didn't do anything, but nothing really. I think Curtis Mayfield covered one of them though. Curtis Mayfield did a song called "Man Oh Man." "Man Oh Man," that was Benny Crass's song, and it worked out good because Benny got us started. He really did get us started. We had it was a label called Excel Records at first, but then once we took that name was already taken, and then Benny and another guy that we was working with, who was our promotion guy, his name is Cal Rudman, they said, let's change it to Gamble Records. They wanted it to be like Gordy Records. They wanted to compete with Motown. I said, come on. I said, let's do it. And, it was great. It was great. And then, we had 2-3 records with the Intruders that were just local regional hits. But we knew we had something, and then all of a sudden we came up with Cowboys to Girls. And boy, did that surprise!
I mean, how do you write something like that? Can you share that with us? I mean, how did you get that? How did you get that off?
The concept of that song was is that when you're little boys, they pretty much look at girls, they walk around, they smack them, and they beat them up, and chase them.
I remember that.
Pull their hair.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just and so then. And then little girls, they just played with their dolls and all. So the song is, I remember when we used to play Shoot 'em Up, Bang, Bang, Baby. I remember when I chased girls and I beat them up. He said, but now I understand. No, I know girls are made for kissing. What I was missing. Now I understand. And something about my whole world has been rearranged. I went from cowboys to girls, you see. And then the second verse is that I remember when you got your first baby coach. Down there, I remember something else. What was the other word behind that? Something, I can't remember the second one. But anyway, now it's me that you're kissing. Ain't it fun reminiscing? Because he's sitting with the girl and they talking about how they used to like girls, you say, I don't like him, you know what I mean? The little boy, he said, oh, that's not my girlfriend, man. I don't like her. But now he said, now it's me that you're kissing. Ain't it fun reminiscing? Now our lives has changed. Our whole world has been rearranged because I went from cowboys to girls, and you went from baby dolls to boys. Wow,
that's some powerful that's some powerful language, man. Because you know what? The funny thing is, I remember in second grade, I used to beat this girl up so bad. I loved her so much,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. That's what happened. That's the same thing. That's what I used to say. I said, man, so and so. I said, man, she don't like me, man, no more, man. You know what I mean? And 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 that's the way life goes for everybody. But it's amazing, man, because during the time when you're writing that song like that, what I wanted to try to do with the songs, I wanted them to be different. I wanted them to be unique, you know? Like Smokey Robinson had unique lyrics. The tears of a clown. It's just a smile turned upside down. You know what I mean? I say, wow, Smokey Robinson. In fact, Bob Dylan called Smokey Robinson the greatest poet of America. You know what I mean? Smokey Robinson. I think Bob Dylan is right because Smokey, he wrote some great stuff, man. You know.
So you had some local hits with the Intruders. So you starting to feel it now. And then you have a smash like Cowboys the Girls. You had another smash around that time with Expressway.
Soul Survivor.
Yes, and how did that come about?
Well, same way. Soul Survivors was a Caucasian group, but they were excellent. You know what I mean? And so I'm going my way over to see my girl one time, and I took the expressway. They had just made the expressway. Some cities they call them freeways. And they had just put the expressway in Philadelphia. And man, I got stuck on that expressway. The whole thing.
And you wrote a classic.
The whole expressway was like bumper to bumper. You know what I mean? For hours. And I started saying, trying to get to you for a long time. Dude. I'm saying this to the girl. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, they playing it right now.
Yeah.
But it seems like I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But so you turn an expressway, a traffic jam, into a love song.
To a love song. Unbelievable. It's just crazy, man. That's all I gotta say. It's crazy.
So the early early 60s, you got the Kenny Gamble and the Romeos. You're playing, you're writing songs. You got the Intruders hot a little bit. You got to smash with Cowboys the Girls. You got to smash with Expressway to Your Heart. What are some of the other things in the 60s that you were able to do that...
Well, you got to remember this, too. One other thing. Tommy Bell had, the same time we had Cowboys the Girls, Tommy Bell had La La Means I Love You.
Right. Hit. Great.
Big,
unbelievable.
Man. It was a big record. It was a million seller, too. The same thing with Cowboys the Girls. And so people now starting to look at Philadelphia. They started to say, wow, Philadelphia is starting to...
It's hot.
They're getting something going, you know what I mean? And so people were starting... And people were contacting us then, you know what I mean? Which is much better when people are contacting. And then from those records that we had, the Expressway and the Cowboys to Girls, and we were able to make a few dollars so that we could quit our day jobs. And when you quit the day job, now you can concentrate all day, every day on writing songs. Now that made a big difference, you know.
So you had and so during the 60s you had a couple other artists that you were writing for that might not have been part of your label. And by the way, but I remember a story I heard you say. Barry Gordy wanted to know, well, what the heck is going on in Philadelphia? Now, what, who are those guys, Gamble and Huff? What are they doing?
Yeah, they wanted to know.
So that had to feel good.
Oh, it felt great. Yeah.
And I know it had to feel good when you had when they covered one of your songs.
Yeah, they got one of our songs. They took our song "I'm Gonna Make You Love Me" and recorded it with the Temptations and the Supremes. Boy, that was a big day for me.
Huge.
Big day, Rahim. I'll tell you, man. I had to pull my car over. I said, wow.
And you didn't know anything about it?
I didn't know anything about it. No, I didn't know nothing about it until I heard it on the radio.
And who had done that song for you when you wrote that song? Who done it?
Well, Dionne Warwick's sister, she recorded. We recorded it with her. We was working with a guy named Jerry Ross, who was very helpful to me in the music industry. Jerry Ross, and Jerry Ross had worked with Mercury Records, so Dee Dee Warwick was an artist who worked for Mercury, and so Jerry, he got us on that session, and it didn't really do that good with Dee Dee Warwick. It sounded pretty good, but it didn't do good.
Well, it's almost identical. I've heard both versions, so I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds identical to me, but a little slower maybe.
I'm gonna do all the things for you a man wants a girl to do. Oh baby,
That's Dee Dee Warwick there.
Yeah.
I'll sacrifice for you. I'd even
See?
do wrong too.
It's just
Oh baby,
yeah, right.
He just didn't have Motown pushing it.
every hour I'm gonna shower you with love and affection. Look out, it's coming in your direction. I'm gonna make you love.
What do you think when you hear that song, Kenny?
Oh, that was a great one, man. I tell you. That was good. And you know, the funny part about that, too, man, is that when Jerry said, well, hey, man, see if you guys can come up with a song for Dee Dee, for the session. Man, me and Huff went into a room in New York. We said, where's the piano at? Man, we must have wrote that song, man, in half an hour.
Wow.
That's how hyped up we were. We was hyped up, man.
We said wow at the same time. Wow. I mean,
we was hyped up, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, I have to
listen,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're trying to make it, man. We're trying to make it, and so it's really amazing when you listen to that song. And then Dee Dee, I really liked her voice, Dee Dee Warwick, but she wasn't really well. Her sister was well known, Dionne Warwick.
Well, here's the Motown version.
Go ahead. Let me
I'll
hear it.
sacrifice for you. I'll even do wrong for you.
Temptation
Oh baby,
and the Supremes.
Yeah.
Good God Almighty.
every minute
You must have almost had an accident. Look at Eddie Kendricks.
Look at him. My love is strong, you see. I know you'll never get tired of me. Oh, baby.
Diana Ross. Ain't that something?
And now I'm gonna use every trick in the book. I'll try my best to get you hooked. Hey, baby.
They had to love this song too. I mean, the
they love it.
artists
Yeah.
have to. I mean, because when they sing it, when I've seen them, sing the song and they sing it, you know, this is like a love affair. They all happy. It goes back to that point you made earlier about how music made you so happy. That's just happy, seeing them sing that song. And by the way, I will acknowledge when I was growing up, I was playing the Temptations. My sister would play the Supremes. So we did that song to death. I mean, and we nailed it too. By the way, we were good.
Yeah, that's a
You didn't get
beautiful
signed?
song, man.
Oh no,
Hey,
we didn't get signed.
yeah, it's a beautiful.
We did it all
song.
free.
But I tell you this, man, I was so happy, and I found out not that long ago that Nick Ashford from Ashford and Simpson was the guy who pulled that song and gave it to the Temptations and the Supremes and produced it on them.
Phenomenal.
And that's
And you know what?
God bless him. Nick is gone now too, but I didn't know that when he told me. He said, "Man, I'm the one that produced that record." I had never even thought about who produced it. You know what I mean? And then I found out that he produced it.
Look, it's enough just hearing them singing it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it was
phenomenal.
great, man.
And I have had the privilege to see you with Berry Gordy and the relationship you have between you and him, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful relationship to see people who love what they've done, doing and have made a tremendous mark, and now able to enjoy each other and reverence each other and just, love each other as brothers. I mean, the love I see between you and Berry Gordy is just phenomenal.
Yes, respect too. You got to have respect, man. And it's not easy. It's not easy. This music industry, it's not easy but today I think it's even better. I do think it's better today than it was back then.
Well, before we go to today, I'm still in the '60s. We still in the '60s. I mean,
got a long time
we
to
haven't
go.
got out of the '60s yet.
Yeah,
Talk about
go
some of
ahead.
those acts you had, because I remember. I mean, you did a lot of things. Did you sign the OJs? Were you working with the OJs in the '60s, or that was all the '70s? And I know Jerry Butler and
Oh yeah.
some of the other artists you were working with, Lou Rawls. Were all those late '60s?
No, the OJs. We worked with them in like 69, 68,
Okay.
69. And we had a label that was called Neptune Records that was being distributed by a company in Chicago, Chess Records. And then Chess Records, the guy who owned Chess Records and the founder of it, he had a heart attack. And so that whole thing fell apart. The record we had with them at that time was called One Night Affair, which was a good one.
Oh yeah, that's
the
awesome.
OJs.
Yeah,
you know
that
what I
was
mean?
awesome.
And so the label we had to shut the label down because we didn't have no money and everything. And the OJs, they went and did something else there for a minute. And then 1970, we got another deal with CBS Records, and that started Philly International Records, which was the best thing to happen to us because the marriage between Gamble and Huff and CBS was a beautiful marriage because they had the distribution and the marketing and the merchandising and the promotion, and we had the music.
You had the talent.
Yeah, we had the talent, and that made a good that was a good match.
Well, let's quickly hear. We got two wanted to play really quickly. One Night Affair. I mean, this is some X-rated stuff now. So
yeah.
what message was you talking about now? Here.
Message in the music.
So everybody talk about all these great messages. So you got a lot of love songs and stuff here, but this is a little raunchy here.
Was that love?
Yeah, no.
Check it out. Check it out.
Hit it or run. Hit it.
Yeah, right. That's them days when we was hanging in the bars.
Is that life imitating art or art imitating life?
That's life imitating art. Hey, listen. Hey, that's when we was hanging in them bars, man, drinking them Millers.
Look, but here's one of the things I always talked about, and this is, I'm, as a fan, is first of all, I all this music I was totally involved in as a fan. And I played these songs, and we danced these songs. So so it's great to hear the kind of context. So what is this song about? 992 arguments. Why not 993?
I don't know, but let me hear a little bit of it.
That's what everybody did back then.
It's a shame. All this fussing and fighting we do. Don't you know that it's got to stop? Don't make sense to go on this way. A love affair is a total flop. 992 arguments. 992 we're justified.
Hey, where did it come from, Kenny? Tell me.
I think me and Huff was talking one day, and I used to go over Huff's house. We used to right over his house over in Camden, and then there was a bar right across the street. So we would go over there and maybe get a 6-pack of beer or something like that, and some peanuts or something like that, and pistachios. We see pistachios all the time, and then we get some beer and we sit there and talk. And I think think that came up one time because I think Huff's wife was saying, well, where y'all going? Where y'all doing? Said, damn. Yeah, so we just going across the street to get a cold beer. That's what you hear the lyrics with the lyrics. You know, you hear with the lyrics, and the lyrics is pretty much describing what that whole conversation was all about. But that's all these songs are. All these songs are basically circumstances that you make them into songs, you know. So it's 992 arguments. You still there?
Yeah, we here. Well,
okay.
We
so
jamming.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But anyway, 993 wouldn't be right. 992. 92, I'm sick of you because it rhymes with I'm sick of you. Hey, that's something. Yeah, that was something.
So
that was a heck of a track. But you know what? The beautiful part of that record was the end of 992 Arguments. It was the end where the groove changed.
Right.
Yeah, that's that.
Well, you did a lot of that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that when those grooves change like that.
The groove change, and that happened in the studio when we was in the studio, because we said, well, it's got to go somewhere because we had said that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, boom, we made that change, man. And I'm telling you, that thing took off like a I'm telling you, like a rocket after that.
Well, another one question, but before we go there, I wanted another person, a gentleman I've come to know, and through you, and the kind of bromance that I've seen you guys exhibit, just tremendous respect for each other, and artistically have accomplished a whole lot, and that's Jerry Butler.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Tell us, what is your relationship? I mean, how did that relationship start, and what are some of the things you did with Jerry Butler?
Let me tell you, I knew Jerry Butler since I was young, teenager at the Uptown Theater. I always admired him. He's one of the classiest R&B rhythm and blues singers that's ever been. And so I had a record shop down on Broad and South, and it was connected to Pep's Show Bar. Jerry Butler was performing there, so I went in there one day when he was rehearsing, and I told him, I said, "Hey Jerry," I said, "How you doing?" I introduced myself to him, and I told him that me and Huff had some songs for him, So he said, "Well, come on over," So we went over there. I think that next day, Huff and I went over there that next day, and we sat down with him and played him a couple songs that we had. And the first songs that we had with him, one was called Lost, but Found in the Nick of Time. That was a good one. And then we got together again, and then we did Never Gonna Give You Up, which was even better. We really found the groove on him. Never Gonna Give You Up.
That's what year was that? Do you remember?
Never Gonna Give You Up had to be like 1969.
So we still in the 60s then. Okay.
Still
so
in
that's
You'll never get out of 60s.
I mean, what a great
yeah,
song.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how do you get these intros, man?
That's beautiful.
It's phenomenal. I don't know about that statement though.
That's why they don't make music like that no more. Look, that's why they don't make music like that no more, because ain't nobody saying that. I agree with you, Mr. Gamble.
Running around with another guy. And you think if you hurt me that I'll go away. Made it up in my mind that I'm here to stay. So tell him never gonna give you up. Whisper in his ear.
They in here jamming in here. You know that. Everybody in here grooving.
Hey, don't you understand?
It must be a good feeling. It must be a really good feeling to write a song, get an artist like this, like Jerry Butler. He performs it, and it's playing on every radio station around the country.
Yeah.
I mean,
Around the world. That's right. It's beautiful.
It's just got. What does that feel like?
Oh man, it just feels good, man. It's the people that you get your point across. It's like you're thinking about something, and then you put it to music, and then people clap and they say, "Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about," because you're saying what everybody's feeling. I always used to tell a lot of the writers that work with us, I said, I said, if you've had a broken heart or something like that about certain things, I said, believe me, it's a million other people that had a broken heart too. You know what I mean? If you feel joy about something, then it's a million other people that feel joy too. So just, just write about your own life and your own feelings. But Jerry Butler was special, man, because this guy, we wrote songs with him, and I learned a lot from him, and I guess we learned a lot from each other, but it was great working with him, and then we really came up with a great one, with Only the Strong Survive. That was the one that really, like, Never Gonna Give You Up was good, but
somehow or another, the whole darn thing went wrong.
I wonder how we knew about this song a little bit. Keon, our engineer, he pulled it out.
I can still hear her saying,
He says just too many songs.
I see you sitting out there.
That's funny. I remember this song, and I had a paper route, and I quit my paper route, and I went in the store and got me a sausage. And this song is playing. So I remember this song in a different way. And guess what? That sausage got me sick as a dog.
See, because it was telling you only the strong survive.
I know.
Went back to work.
But it's just amazing, how you hear these songs. But I love these songs, Kenny. I love them. And you know what? They mess me up too. I always tell Kenny, I says, man, I've been searching for this love that he been talking about, and I ain't been able to find it.
It's universal love.
Yeah, well, it's
universal love. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's love inside, but clearly, the way you describe love and the way you write about love, I mean, obviously, it was a different world.
But you know what was funny about this record, this song too, Rahim? A few years later, Elvis Presley recorded it.
So I guess it was a hit with him then.
It was a hit with Butler and with Elvis Presley.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, no question.
It was great. It was beautiful. But just show you how these songs can get through even to Elvis Presley.
Sure.
It penetrated and got to his circle. Just like Love Train, like the Rolling Stones has recorded Love Train. It's just fantastic, man.
So you had... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was thinking about Jerry Butler. There was another song we did with Jerry Butler that was great. It was called A Brand New Me.
Yeah.
It was really, really a great song,
What year was that?
All of this is around the same time.
Oh, they're all in the 60s.
69, 68, 69. All this stuff was happening at the same time. After we got Cowboys to Girls at Expressway, then people started calling us. And then Jerry Butler was able to get with him, was able to get with Dusty Springfield, was able to get with Wilson Pickett.
Yeah, I'd like to slow that down for a minute, because we just seen the...
Okay, we only got 30 minutes and we still ain't out the 60s.
We're going to do part two, right? You know me. Sometimes I do write an article, and I'm up to part 7. People say, "What's this man out of his mind?" Yeah, I mean, I got.
You wrote a book already.
I know. Part 7. That's obviously a book. But Jerry Butler was. I want to just talk a little bit about Jerry Butler, the man Jerry Butler, and your relationship with Jerry Butler. I just seen again when I see you guys together, I see you guys as black men, and it's nothing more rewarding to me for somebody who kind of idolizes you guys, and to see the relationship. When I see it with you and Barry Gordy, I see it with you and Jerry Butler. It seemed like a special relationship. You guys have overcome some odds, and you've been successful, and it's almost great just that you got a chance to see your success.
Right. Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
And Jerry has been I guess he was an alderman for years in Chicago. I'm not sure all he did, but he was always there when you called him. Always,
yeah. He's great. He's a community-minded person, and also he's one of the greatest artists that you could find. I mean, within Jerry Butler, you can see some of the way the industry is, because say for instance, like Jerry Butler, he did Moon River. You remember when he did Moon River, right?
Absolutely.
And they turned around and recorded it with a white artist, Andy Williams. Andy Williams did it. And they didn't play Jerry Butler's version. They played the white guy's version, you know. Same thing they did with Patti LaBelle, you know. So the black artists have a hard time. They got a hard time with this whole industry, you know. That's why I go back to how we started. You know what I mean? You got to do for self. You got to have your own everything.
Well, you did a lot to you know, following that model with Motown. You did a lot, and I think that many people. We're going to talk more about it, but clearly, I wanted to set the tone for that. You know, this was not an overnight success. This was a struggle. The type of music you were writing in the '60s and the love music, the phenomenal messages in the love, because most of that was like a lot of love and relationship music. You did with artists, and I believe you did some things with Lou Rawls in the late '60s, right? Or were those on the '70s?
Say that again.
Lou Rawls.
Oh, that was in the '70s.
Okay, so let's go back to Wilson Pickett then.
Yeah, Wilson Pickett was like 1969.
Okay, so what did Wilson Pickett? How did that come about, and how was your relationship with Wilson Pickett? I mean, because they have this unsung right now going now with unsung, and you
about Wilson Pickett.
Yeah, learned a lot about Wilson Pickett.
Oh yeah, well you know what, with Wilson Pickett, you know when we were working with Atlantic Records, and the guys who owned Atlantic Records, his name was Jerry Wexler and Ahmed Erdogan. We had a meeting with them once, and they were just trying us out. They said they wanted to see what kind of music we could make. So they had signed Archie Bell and the Drills, and they had a big hit with them called "Tighten Up." You know, a lot of people remember that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
"Tighten Up." Yeah,
I thought that was you. I thought you did that.
No.
Okay.
No, Archie Bell and them did it, right?
Okay.
But then they didn't have a follow-up record. And so Cal Rudman, who was working with us with Gamble Records, he knew Jerry Wexler and them. And he told Jerry Wexler, he said, man, I know who could get a follow-up hit with Archie Bell. He said, try Gamble and Huff. And so they called us up. Jerry Wexler and them called us up. We went to New York, and they said, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you Archie Bell. You do an album on Archie Bell. You can do an album on the Sweet Inspirations, do an album on Dusty Springfield, and an album on Wilson Pickett. So we got four artists.
Wow.
That they wanted us to do.
I don't know if we're going to keep up with all that. I mean,
man, we was like a machine then, man, because that was some steady work right there. Steady work for the musicians, steady work for the studio, that was steady work right there. So Wilson Pickett, you asked about.
Mm-hmm.
When we worked with Wilson Pickett, man, this guy here was exactly the kind of artist that we loved, because he had one of those screaming voices.
Yeah.
He was like a blues singer, you know. And so we worked with Wilson Pickett, man. It was a dream working with him. He was just a little excited, though. He was a little bit, you know, on edge, you know, and we did a song called Engine Number 9 with him, and we wrote that on the train coming back from New York. about a train, you know, engine number 9. Can you get me back on time? And then we had some writers with us, and they were excellent writers. They wrote "Don't Let the Green Grass Fool You."
Another great one.
Great song, man.
Unbelievable.
And that track was just unbelievable, man. I still can hear those guitar parts.
Before you go to let's hear a little bit of which one is this? Engine number. You can talk a little bit.
Listen to it.
Listen a little bit of this. Some unbelievable groove.
Coming out the stack. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Ow! Engine number 9.
How did you arrange that? I mean,
Hey.
what's all
Hey,
that stuff in that song there?
that was in the studio, man. We really had fun doing that. That was a lot of spur of the moment stuff that we came up with, with the drums and the guitars and whatever. You could hear it. It's got a method to its madness. So that rhythm is rolling, and yeah, that turned out real good. Engine number 9, but don't let the green grass fool you. Was yeah, that was the one.
I mean, but it's all of these songs are different.
Oh yeah.
How did you do it? I mean,
Don't ask me. I don't know, but it's the same musicians, the same people.
It's
same writers,
and it's
all of
different.
them sound different.
The music, a lot of you hear sometimes these hits,
You know who made it.
and you say, well, you can hear the same song. And it's different, but it sounds, the groove is the same.
Right.
All these arrangements are different. The starts are different. I mean, it's just amazing how you able. And we just getting started.
We ain't even made it out of 60.
No, we just getting started. But I want our audience to hear the breath of this music. So let us play a little bit.
Cause if you leave me this way, baby, you know what? I may not live to see a brand new day. Oh, baby, don't let green grass fool ya. Don't let it change your mind. You know why? It may be greener on the other side, baby.
But these are songs of life. I mean, these are songs of life that we should be following. I mean, it really speaks to really the way life is. Now, you mentioned those 4 that you signed with Atlantic because this is still pre-Philly International.
Yeah.
So that was Dusty Springfield. That was
Right.
the Archie Bell and the Drells, Wilson
Sweet
Pickett,
Inspirations.
and Sweet Inspirations.
And Wilson Pickett,
So
yeah.
what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to pull a couple of pieces from those groups, and then we're going to go into Philly and Nashville in a big way. We only got a little bit more time, but we're going to try to cover a little bit more of your Philly and Nashville because coming out of the 60s, you're writing songs, you're writing really standards, your groups, you're growing that Glenn Miller band, you're growing that band, and you're getting good at it, and you're actually now getting into the real business of it coming into the 70s. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV. Welcome back to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. You are listening to a special edition with legendary Kenny Gamble. Rahim, you still smiling?
Hey, hey, look, this place was upside down. When listening to, hey, I can just imagine Kenny what that studio looked like when you was doing these cuts with Teddy and I mean the musicians had to love it.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
That stuff sound good, man. It sounds good just here on the phone here. Sounds great. Bring back memories,
They're jamming. I mean, that's the true word of jamming.
Yes.
It makes you want to be able to, I wish I could play an instrument. God almighty.
Yeah. We'll get to that eventually, man, where everybody should be able to play an instrument,
Well, we concluded the break, and you were talking about the 4 acts that or the artists that you had you were writing for under Atlantic. You talked about Wilson Pickett, and we had the 2 big hits you had with them. Then we talked about Dusty Springfield, Sweet Inspirations, and then the Drells. Boy, I remember the Drells big time. And so. What were the big hits with the Drells? How did you do with
Archie Bell?
Yeah.
Well, we had I Can't Stop Dancing. That was the one that we came with right after Tighten Up. Yeah, I Can't Stop Dancing, and then we had another song with him called "There's Going to Be a Showdown." Yeah, both of them did pretty.
I remember
yeah,
that
both
the
did.
malt. I remember that word, the malt, in the song.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't stop dancing. I got to put this hamburger down.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
know. Hold on. We're gonna listen a little bit of that.
There's a place I eat lunch every day. Soon as I get there, the jukebox starts to play. I can't even eat my lunch in peace. Music makes me get out of my seat. I just can't stop dancing.
Let's talk about that. How do? Because I had the privilege of hearing some of those demos, and Gamble and Huff on the piano, and Kenny singing, and they're writing the song obviously, I can hear Kenny's voice really in that because I've
You
been
can hear it in
yeah,
that song.
yeah,
Man, we were doing the background.
yeah,
of a
well,
lot
I
of
can
it.
really say I can hear it. I mean, I didn't know that, but I can hear it, the sound. So tell our listening audience, how did you actually mechanically write these songs? How did they actually get from your head onto vinyl?
Well, it starts with an idea. You know what I mean? And so when you got a guy like Archie Bell, Tighten Up, that was like dancing. You know what I mean? So the first thing me and Huff thought about is, hey man, let's write songs about dancing. So I Just Can't Stop Dancing is like it's almost like you can see that. You can visualize that almost.
Sure.
You know, in that song, like he said, there's a place he eats lunch every day. Soon as he gets there, the jukebox starts to play. He said he can't even eat his lunch in peace because music makes him get out of his seat. He said, I can't stop dancing. He said, I can't stop dancing because the music has got me going crazy. Can't he eat his hamburger?
Yeah. Put that malt down.
You got to put the malt down. He said, I got to dance. You know what I mean?
Well, that's old school. If you call it a malt, you know.
They think you're talking about malt liquor now.
Yeah, no, the malt. If you really said, you know, that's old school. You said they put that malt down.
Yeah, it's something, man. Unbelievable.
So you guys would obviously put it together, write it and sing it, and put something together and put it on a disc or something, and I guess you were perfected during that process.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we perfected doing the writing. It wasn't even. It was like cassette tapes then.
Cassette,
Like,
right,
that-
Like
when we-
this.
when we-
I was like, damn,
when-
dude.
Yeah,
when
I
we
lost
first
my
started
mind.
First started out, it was reel to reel
Reel to reel.
tape. Yeah, reel to reel, and then it came cassette tapes. You know, cassette tapes were easier, but reel to reel, man, we would write on reel to reel because we would record everything we do because you never know when you're going to come up with something, and then you come up with something. If you don't record it, then you can forget it. You see, you won't be the same. But if you got it on tape, then you can keep playing it over and over again and teach yourself the song because it's not guaranteed that you're going to remember all of these lyrics and these melodies in these songs.
So when does you start to kind of add? How does it get from that tape that you did to the artist, to the studio, and then to actually the final production?
Well, we have to learn it first, and we perfect it by writing the lyrics and making sure that everything is good. Then we rehearse the artists. Like, say, for instance, like Archie Bell, the OJs, they used to come to Philly, and we would have maybe 5-6 songs prepared for them when they come, and we would rehearse them because we knew what we wanted them to sound like, and we would show them the songs and show them how to sing the songs, and the beautiful part of it is that they would put their personality along with ours. And that's what really made it. Like, you take a guy like Walter from the OJs, he's got a great voice, and a song like Darling, Darling Baby, he takes that song and he just, it's one thing with me and Huff singing it, but it's a whole other thing with Walter singing it himself, him and Eddie, So
So what was that second hit on Archie Bell and the Drums? Did you kind of?
Oh, there's going to be a showdown.
Oh yeah, Showdown.
Yeah, and that story is about two dancers. You know what I mean? Going to showdown, like we're gonna have a battle of the dancers. You know what I mean? There's gonna be a showdown. A showdown.
Well, I tell you, are they from Houston?
Houston, Texas.
Okay,
Mhm.
but what a voice this guy had.
It was unique, wasn't it? He had a unique
really
voice.
unique, and it goes back to even the Intruders. You had a couple on there, but all these voices so unique.
Yeah,
We call them
they're
like
different.
signature voices. You
Yeah,
know,
they are.
you hear the
They
voice,
really
you
are.
know who it is.
What song is that?
We
What
got
song is that?
Gonna be a showdown. Hey, it's gonna be a showdown, showdown. Oh yeah. I've got 10 notches on my shoes. When it comes to dancing, I just can't lose. They call me the top cat in this man's town. So I want you to meet me.
So, Mr. Campbell,
Yeah, yeah.
so, listening to all this stuff, we still are in the 60s, right?
It's still in the 60s.
Okay, we're still in the 60s. So, I was born in 68. So, we ain't, I don't even think I'm a year old yet. I don't know.
That's something. That's unbelievable.
So, we talked about, and if I'm right, when you said the first hit you had, you were a senior in high school?
no.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Well, I was just coming out of high school.
Well, see, I wasn't that
Oh
wrong.
well,
Yeah, I was just coming out of high school.
He said it was just
No,
coming. I was
yeah,
listening.
it was something because in the early '60s, I was working with groups like the Sapphires, and Who Do You Love, and stuff like that. You probably never heard of them. So, but that was a good record. That was a good record. Then we had Candy and the Kisses, the '81. Oh boy, I tell you.
Okay, so we talked about.
Well, I think the main thing though is that the I think most people, if they kind of students of the music, will blow up in the 70s, but they don't really know
the what happened before then.
all of the 60s, the foundation for. I mean, you just don't start writing great standards. You can't just.
Right.
You've got to learn
You
how
gotta
to
cut your teeth on
exactly.
something. Right.
I mean, and they did phenomenal.
Phenomenal work.
I mean, just
before we get to the OJs and before we get
Teddy
to Teddy
Pendergrass
and Lou
and
Rawls.
Lou Rawls.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable roster of great acts.
Right.
But one of the things that I'm wanted to our listening audience to understand is what happened during the 60s, but the foundation of building songwriting. Building the label,
Right, before we even got to Philly International.
Exactly, the music, the
And the
type
sound
of
of
music,
Philly.
and also being a magnet for writers and producers and artists and also the formation of labels, and I mean it's just phenomenal. And we've been here almost 2 hours now,
Yes.
and we haven't gotten
We haven't got to the 70s.
The 70s. so what we agreed to do, because we can't even do justice. So we wanted to. What are you playing now here? What's that? Sapphires? Okay, yeah.
That's the Sapphires. Let me hear a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Leading me on, so tell me, who do you love? I wanna know. I wanna know. Who do you love? I wanna know.
Yeah, I didn't even know about this.
He keep dropping stuff on you.
Mama said you were bad, and I should leave you alone. You had a playboy reputation, with all the things that I've got to know, just where I belong. Am I just another girl? Are you leading me on?
Boy, ain't that something?
And so the breadth of Gamble and Huff music, the breadth of writing and producing and recording some 3,500 songs, the breadth of working with over 50 artists, male and female signature, getting tape on, thousands of hours of tape on some of the greatest songs and music that's ever been done. And you have to be unbelievably proud. But it really speaks to people why the reverence is for you and Philly International and Leon Huff, and the terms legendary, terms of unbelievable endearment, and as I've been able to travel with you around the world, but definitely around the country, how the music is just so appreciated, and people just literally the seas part when Kenny Gamble comes, and so it's been a phenomenal ride for myself as a person out of North Philadelphia who was singing on the streets. Playing the Temptations and
buying sausages.
Right. Well, Wilson Pickett and Lou Rawls and 992 Arguments and all the other songs that were formation and foundation for my life. And then we haven't even got into Philly International and the unbelievable groove that you went on and the run that you went on.
Well, we have to do it again. We'll do it again.
Without question. And so one of the things that we wanted to point to before we let you go was a song that really capsulizes the Philly International run, but also the connection to the message to the music. So let's hear a little bit of that.
Mr. Gamble.
Yes, ma'am.
So, a couple things in that song. You talked about Do For Self with
That's
Billy
right.
Paul. And I just noticed something. He was rapping. He, as they say now, he was spitting a little bit, huh?
That was Lou Rawls, yeah.
Oh,
And he's the original rapper,
Lou
though.
Rawls.
You know that, right?
Oh,
Lou
okay.
Rawls, he's been rapping since
Okay.
since the days of what was it? Tobacco Road and all them songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that basically was the premise for the whole thing. Is that here you have the African American communities that are in bad shape. But we got to clean them up ourselves. Do for self.
Do for self. You kept that theme consistent through everything.
Yeah, do for self. It's not easy because it takes generations, but somebody got to set an example of what to do and how to do it.
So we're excited. We just thank you for joining us today. If you have just a few more minutes, one of the things that I always say is people don't realize when they're listening to commercials and different things, that's your music, and the people like you.
Some of it is, it's great.
I don't want everybody to think it's all your music, but some of it is your music.
But it's a beautiful thing because that helps us out, It gives it a different life, you know what I mean?
Right, and it helps it to continue, but also
he lets them go get a loaf of bread.
Oh, go get a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Well, especially during tax season with H&R Block, huh?
H&R Block, and they playing it up there.
Yes.
Oh, like 5 or 6 times. I mean, it's
an hour.
An hour.
Oh, that's great. Ain't that beautiful? That's great.
But
I always tell my daughter, I say when we hear something like that, I say, hey, we can go get a loaf of bread, sweetie.
Another thing that bridges the gap and helps it to continue is poetry and hip hop and rapping. And Rahim has really tried to bridge the gap. I'm sure he's doing it in Philly, but here in Milwaukee. So we have one of our guests on the show who joins us quite frequently, and he spits. Rahim spits when he writes in the
in the newspaper.
Right. He spits sometime when he get to talking on the radio and get excited. But Damien is here with us, and
we
got somebody that's really spitting. Right. So we're gonna go out with the song that we were just playing, and we're gonna let Damien spit over the top of it and see how you like it.
Oh, good. Yeah, go ahead.
But we want to bring you back in when he finishes and tell us what you think about it, okay?
All right, no problem. Go ahead. Did I ever meet Damon before?
No, not yet, sir. I'm definitely inspired by the the precedents that you set. I'm trying to do the messages in the music too.
Yeah, it's a good thing, man. Go ahead.
All right,
Trash men won't strike. I'm talking about the maintenance people for the city.
just go over
What
here.
they were trying to do was they were trying to get a little more money, get a little raise in pay. But at that particular time, the city was broke.
I'm from a place where riding with bad plates is commonplace. All decisions are drama based. The streets are full of pro-black figures and pro-crack figures. We ride everything from city buses to act vigors. In summertime, we barbecue meat or pull up a seat and blow that AC, avoiding the heat. Street armies, our uniforms are Timbs and t-shirts. We tumble dice and gamble circles till our knees hurt. The candy paint and make your teeth hurt. Before sleeping on my city, you should do your research. From summer to summer, the drug traffic be bumper to bumper to keep away the hunger. Brothers trying to graduate from 9/8s to pushing Hummers. Without them rims, chicks be dissing you. But roll up with 22s, they proposition you, man. It's a jungle out there, but that depends on who you listen to. Out here, ain't nobody on the same level. We modern day gladiators in bubble coats instead of chain metal. From cotton picking to rocks that glisten, we came a long way. We about to blow. The clock is ticking.
Beautiful, man. Ain't that great?
Thank you, brother.
That's beautiful, man. That's a gift right there to be able to do that.
Thanks,
Great.
brother.
That was
That
me.
means a
That
lot
was
coming from you,
Rahim.
man.
You know I can
Hey,
spit.
listen.
You know I can spit like that, right?
Oh, brother, listen, man. It sounds great, man. That's all I could say. I can't wait to get back up here to Milwaukee. It's beautiful up there.
Wow.
Wonderful. It's a new spirit up there, which is great.
Yeah, it's called Rahim Islam.
Right. That's a great thing.
Well, Kenny,
Keep it moving.
let's you can. I mean, we're gonna pick this up again with Philly International, and that song about the clean up the ghetto has really been the extension of you. I've never seen anybody work harder than you have. One of the most enjoyable things that I have as a black man is to see someone who technically by all classifications has made it, but who spends most of their life, and I know personally, on the grassroots, fighting the fight, leveraging your success, leveraging your resources, leveraging your everything you can bring to the table to try to help our community and help our people. And we've actually, I was so honored to be able to write for the man, and I coined a phrase, we call it living the music. And so that's what Kenny Gamble's doing. He's living the music. So why don't you tell us about that song, and then we'll close out with that song.
Which one? Clean Up the Ghetto?
Yeah, Clean Up the Ghetto.
Well, if you listen to it, it kind of explains what we're trying to do, Raheem, with Universal. To do for ourselves, to educate our own people, number one, because that is going to take. It's going to take time. It's not going to be some kind of magic that happens. We have to educate our people as to, when you were talking earlier about people without knowledge of their past is like a tree without roots. There's no way we can stand unless we know about our history. And so God willing, if we stick together and work together, we'll be able to clean up our communities. We'll be able to clean up the filth that we have ingested all of these years, and food and all kinds of stuff that's going on that we need to work hard trying to take control of our own destiny. And so I think that's what this music is talking about. It talks about the respect for women. It talks about respect for little children, and so clean up the ghetto. How do you clean up this ghetto so that this little brief period that we have, that we call life, this little existence that we have, can be something that can be more enjoyable and prepare us for the dimensions to come? Because we all going to live, we're going to die, we're going to go to another dimension. So we got to inform ourselves. We got to learn more about what we're doing. So this is great. I thank Mr. Jones for this radio station too, because
Absolutely.
hey, listen, there's no other way to get the message out. So thank God for you, Brother Jones. And Raheem, thank you so much, man. You're working hard. And sister, what's the sister's name again? What's your
Tosha.
first name again?
Tosha.
Tosha.
Sosha. How you spell that? How you spell it?
You're gonna get confused. but
Tosha.
Tosha, Tosha. But it's really
Tosha.
yeah, but it's really with a P in
Tosha.
front, but a P is silent. But
Think of
Tosha.
Philadelphia.
I got it, Tosha.
Yeah,
I got you now. I got it now. Tosha. Well, Sister Tosha, thank you so much too for hanging in there. And I remember when we were in Milwaukee, you were really, you really helped us out a lot. You know, so I appreciate all that.
My pleasure, Mr. Gamble.
Yeah.
And,
So we're in good shape.
Well, just
Yeah.
also, just you were mentioning Mr. Jones, and Mr. Jones is obviously, if it wasn't for his leadership, we wouldn't even be communicating at this level and being able to communicate to the people of Milwaukee. And so he is definitely a big fan too. Just want to let you know that he is absolutely. Again, this is another one of those bromances that I see you and him, and I just love to see our black men exhibit that kind of love and respect for each other. So he definitely speaks highly of you, and I know you speak highly of him.
Yeah, well, I think we both experienced the same thing in the music industry and just in life itself. Life is so short that you gotta stay focused in order to get the job done. You're just not going to get it done if you're wondering, if your mind is wandering and you're not focused on what your goals and objectives is. So, hey, I enjoyed being on here today. It brought back a lot of memories. And can't wait till we do it again.
Well, we're gonna plan it. So we're gonna close. Kenny, thank you so much for all you do for our people. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
How your mother produced you, and boy, what you're doing for our community. So
Well,
thank you
that's
so
great.
much.
Okay. All right. All the best.
All right, thanks.
All right. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to our special edition of Universally Speaking with
And
Rahim
we're gonna have to do part 2.
and probably 3 or 4. Maybe we'll make it to the 70s. Maybe we'll make it to the 70s on the next.
I hope so.
It won't be the next show, but it'll be a future show.
Yeah.
We will make sure we let you know. Thank you, Milwaukee. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you, Mr. Jones. I know you don't want us to tell you, but we have to
Absolutely,
tell you.
we have to.
And
We're obligated.
We're
to.
obligated to tell you. So until next week, same
And
time.
Keon, unbelievable.
You did it. You did the dang on thing.
You kicked some serious butt, man. you kicked some serious butt, boy.
And
I tell
Damon,
you.
thank you so
And-
much.
Yeah, and that was Damon, not Raheem spitting.
And Tony.
Yeah.
Our he's always
Our
glued to
archivist. Thank you.
it. So we appreciate you, Milwaukee. And until next Friday, same time, same station. Peace.